Well, all the parts have arrived to complete my strip lower, so I thought I'd start going through some of the easiest parts to do first if this is your first build ever, so that you can get some idea of what all the techniques are that you're going to need and how to do some of the trickier parts. Now, one of the things I want to do in this video is do this entire assembly without any of the specialized tools that everybody likes to say are so absolutely necessary. So I'm going to be using only a pair of channel locks that I've wrapped the jaws with several layers of masking tape. Allen wrenches, the only one that I need for what I'm going to do is a 1/16 inch Allen wrench, and hands. That's all I'm going to use. If this is your first time, I would suggest doing it in the order that I'm doing it, just so that you get comfortable with some of the techniques and tricks that you're going to need on the easiest parts of the installation before you try the more difficult ones. The first thing I'm going to do is install the trigger guard. Now, I have two trigger guards. One is the standard trigger guard that comes with most of the lower pack kits. It is just an aluminum bar with a little spring-loaded tab on one end. I'll do this one first, partially show you how that goes in, but I'm actually going to be using a Magpul aftermarket trigger guard on this. I just like these better. They give you a little more room in the trigger when it's installed. So if you're wearing gloves or anything like that, there's a little more room in the trigger than there is with the straight bar. The installation process is pretty much the same though. So for the straight bar, what I'm going to do is simply set it in place, and then using an Allen wrench or finger or whatever you want, press down on that button and slide it in until it snaps into the hole. It should move very freely, and it will wobble around quite a bit. It's actually the rear pin that holds it in place. So then, if I were installing this one, I would align the trigger guard with the holes in the little ears on the back of the trigger area, and then I would put the roll pin or the spring pin in place to hold it. Since I'm going to be doing the Magpul trigger guard, I'm going to take this one back out and then do that with the Magpul. To take it back out, all I do is press in on the spring-loaded pin and pull it out. The Magpul installs a little differently. There is no spring pin on the front end. There's actually a small screw, set screw, that's used to hold it in. So what I'll do is put it in place just like the other one, but then in this case I'm going to use my 1/16 inch Allen wrench on the little set screw, insert it in the hole, and start screwing it in. Now, in the interest of time, I'm not going to put it all the way in right now. Normally I would drive it in until it's just flush with the top of the lower unit. You don't want to push it in too far. It may crack the trigger guard, or if you put it in way too far, the trigger guard would actually fall out. So now that the front is in, what I'm going to do, again, this is personal preference, but I always like to use just a little grease, just a little grease on the end of the spring pin before I start to put it in the hole. Then, using the channel locks, see if I can do this so you can see it on camera. Put the channel locks on, pick up the pin again, and start pressing the pin into the hole. As it starts in, you'll feel it set, and now the trigger guard is trapped by the pin. I can take my channel locks again, reset. Notice that I try to keep the jaws of the channel locks parallel to the lower unit sorry, out of frame, parallel to the lower unit, so I'm not putting a lot of stress on those ears, and slowly press the pin in. Now, using channel locks or pliers like this, you're not going to get that spring clip to go all the way into the ears. That's where you would use a set of pin punches or something else to drive that pin in farther. I have them. I'm not going to do it right now. Getting it in and close to flush certainly makes the weapon functional, but it is a little rough on the outside, and at some point you would want to get a set of pin punches and drive it in a little bit. But putting the set screw in and putting that roll pin in place can be done with just the channel lock pliers and hand pressure.